Good afternoon. Welcome to this day of opportunities, possibilities, miracles, and choices. I may have missed the time. I was trying to set the time and maybe a minute or so off. Thank you for joining here. I greet you with the greetings of respect. It's good to have you here with us on this day in our mindful community. Last week, let me thank especially those groups who have been listening. The radio station in New York with Ken Murph, with Andre and Vinyl Stew, the many people that are listening in Georgia, Chicago, Oklahoma, and just different locations, wherever you may be, Baltimore, Maryland, wherever you may be listening, Philadelphia, that's great. Thank you for doing that. I encourage you to continue to listen and continue to pass the word on. Thank you, the service members who are currently deployed and listening to these mindful moments from back home, hopefully to help you manage through that period. Or if you have come back from deployment, hopefully this is good for you. You find something that you can grab and hold on to. Last time we talked about how deep is your love and how do I love thee, let me count the ways. How did that go for you? Did you have some conversation about the depth of love, the depth and breadth and height of the love that you're able to give because of being in a whole place yourself? Did you talk with anybody about that? Since this time, there have been a couple of people who've gotten engaged and maybe even gotten married during that time, or planning or preparing to do that. Hopefully that gave you some reminders, some things that may be good for you and your relationship that you have. So if it's all right, let's do something that would be powerful in terms of relaxing and breathing. Something that you will be able to do more fully later on. And that's to go back and think of a place in your childhood that was peaceful for you. A time and a place where you felt joy, where you felt happiness, where you felt free to be you. Revisit that moment. Think of what the air felt like. What did it smell like? What were the things that you saw in that environment? What was it that made it peaceful? Who was with you? Go back to that place and enjoy the experience of that moment. My father, who's 96 years old, says that when you get older, he says a lot of times most of what you do is think back to earlier times. So I'd like you to, even at this point, wherever you are in your journey through the amusement park of life, to think back about that moment that brought you peace and see if you can recapture that feeling once again. Power is in your hands. With that, remember that today, July 10th, 2017, at some point will be considered back in the day. At some point in the future, we're going to look back at this and say this was back in the day. So that's why it's so important for me to help inspire those to find mindful moments and the beauty of right now, because right now might be what you and I have to think back on if we're fortunate enough to stay in the park for a long time. It might be moments like this that'll help us make it through. So hopefully you can do that. You'll find a moment sometime today, this week, to find that stillness, or maybe you can help somebody else get to that same place. To our mindful moment content. I know I said that I wanted to start doing some original things, and I'm definitely planning to do that. I thought it was going to be this week, but I think now it's really going to be next week for sure. But this was something I've been really instinctively wanting to talk about for a long time, and I think this is the right time to do that. And it's a very simple mindful moment content. It's simply this: God bless the child who's got his own. That statement I have heard for years. It's quoted in songs, in poems, in plays, and movies, and excerpts have been pulled from it in churches and religious organizations for centuries. God bless the child who's got his own. So I want to expand on that consideration of that thought mindfully and see what comes up. So I've thought of three categories to look at: the haves, the have-nots, and the have no intentions. So let me tell you what I mean. Here are the haves, those who that expression has inspired them to have their own, to have skills that they can use to acquire the things that they need, to have tools that they need, to have possessions that they would like to have. Maybe they wanted to have a home, or maybe a car, or maybe they just wanted to have their own family. And so that I could raise my children the way I wanted to, or have a spouse, and we could live the life the way we wanted to, or whatever. That statement, God bless the child who's got his own, has been a powerful inspiration for many to accomplish and acquire some very valuable things for them in life. It's been that driving force. But there are some who've lost balance in that desire to have, and they've developed a distorted view of ownership. And so it's moved from God bless the child that has his own positively to statements like, I've got mine, you get yours. Or this is all mine, a distorted view of ownership. And because I have this, then I'm not willing to share. So oftentimes I hear problems in relationships because there's not a willingness to share. And so let me expand on that so you can get fully what I'm saying. I mean the willingness to share a spouse in some cases with their own children, or to share the children with their mother or with their father, or share the spouse with their friends. And that sense of ownership, well, these are my friends, they're not your friends, and it's become distorted of what's mine, and some have become very possessive in this idea, well, I've got mine and I got it the hard way, and I'm not going to share any of this, and I'll kill for what I've got. And we've got very twisted in our thinking about ownership, because the truth is, when we leave the park of life, we're not going to be able to carry any of these things along with us, not even our children or family. That's an individual journey. So do you have that in balance when we start saying, God bless the child who's got his own? Once you have it, what is your mindset about ownership of the things that you have? So the second part is those who have not but are trying to get it. So there are some, because for those who have acquired certain things, it was a process to get there, right? Everybody wasn't necessarily born with what they call a silver spoon, so that everything was just laid in their lap. Some of you had to work diligently to get that, right? Tooth and nail. Some people don't know the journey that you had to go through to have the things that it said, God bless the child who has his own. Some don't know what you had to go through to have those things. But there are others who are trying to get there. They may not have it now, but every time you see them, they're moving a little harder. They're working a little more diligently to acquire something, or to have something, whether it's to have a family, whether it's to have some possession or something like that, or some material thing, or whatever it is, they're working to get it, and you can see them gradually making progress. What if we could encourage some of them people, those who are trying to get there, to move on that path, just like we had to? God bless the child that has his own, or working towards getting it. But then there are those who have not and have no intention of getting it. They're not interested in getting their own. The only thing they're interested in is using yours. So they become very good at not getting theirs, but kind of watching your money and your possessions, and they're waiting for you to get it so they can use some of yours, right? So this happens personally and professionally. I've had professional contractors, so-called professional contractors, come to my home and ask me for the tools to get the job done. You got a ladder I can use? You happen to have a flashlight or something? They didn't have any of the tools. There was a guy came to put my mirrors in. He didn't even have a tape measure. You got any tape measure? And I said, well, what'd you go do? Stand up against the wall and spread your arms? How would you plan? There's some who have no intention of having their own. They're very interested in using somebody else's stuff. when you think about the people that you spend your time with, the last 5 people that you talk to most often, what category do they fall into? What category do you fall into? Are you one of those who have a balanced view of things, so that you understand the importance of interdependence? Because that's what all this is about. It's about having and finding balance in our life so that we're not dependent on using or always having somebody else to provide for us, but neither are we so independent that we try to ignore anybody else, including those right next to us who might be trying to accomplish or acquire certain things, but develop the balance between independence and dependence to becoming interdependent and understanding there's some times when we can lean on others. But as they say in the South, that every tub needs to sit on its own bottom. How about developing that skill of independence as well, but the interdependence and knowing the difference between all of those? It's amazing when I think about those who have no intention. Some people even get angry when they see somebody else with something and not willing to share it with them. They will look at your thing and say, look, you've got 2 of those. Maybe I can have one or use one, or you've got this. Maybe you can bring that to me. They're always looking at somebody else's belongings and things and trying to figure out how they can get it. They're not really interested in developing or having their own skills or possessions or anything, but always leaning on somebody else. Do you know people like that? Are we one of those? In the beginning, I said this day of opportunities, possibilities, and choices. We have that choice of what path we're going to take every time we start our day. So here's what I encourage you to do. To look for an opportunity to find balance in your life, whatever category you might be in. I was thinking about something else, that in terms of looking for an opportunity, about those who have not but are trying to get. Some of them are consumed with acquiring things, believing that the acquisition of those things will bring them the peace that they need. So they're looking at someone else and, yeah, I'm trying to come up, but I've already got this. I just want to have what he's got, or I want to have what she has over there. And we're always trying to get something that somebody else has and not being able to find peace and contentment with some of the things that's right in front of us, which puts us on that thing they call the hedonic treadmill, where our expectations and desires rise in tandem with everything we materially acquire. So once you get something, you automatically want something else. So that person, some who have not but trying to get, are trying to get material things, and some of them for the wrong reason. What if the thing that's most valuable is not the stuff, but the substance of who you are? Peace, contentment, joy, peace of mind. How beautiful would that be to have that? Because it doesn't matter whether you have a mansion, a huge home with bunches of bathrooms and rooms and areas in the yard, or if you just have a small tent that you can be covered in and have a place of shelter. The real peace comes from inside, not from external things that you get. Look for an opportunity to find the balance in your life and pass that on to somebody else. Consider the possibility of what life would be like for you if the main thing that you tried to get was a peace of mind, not a piece of property, or not another trinket or thing. Consider the possibility of what your life would be like. Consider what you might feel inside if you recognize somebody's legitimately trying to come up and you're able to extend a hand and help them up. Or if you're able to look back and say thank you to somebody who helped you get up to that place that you're at right now. Because as I've often said, you've heard me say, we are standing right here, right now, wherever you are, on the back and the shoulder of somebody who had something before you, and you're on that foundation. Be careful that we don't take credit inappropriately for the things that we have, or else we may find that we will have not. And lastly, expect and experience miracles that will expand in your life. As you become more conscious, opening your third eye, becoming more mindful of your moments, so that this day, July 10th, 2017, will be a beautiful day that you will say, back in the day, I had some beautiful moments. Maybe this might be one of them. Thank you for listening. If you're out of the country or on domestic soil, hold on to it, process it, put it in perspective, proceed forward, pass it on to somebody else. Share the video, share the message in your own words. Thank you for listening, and as always, please do travel well with respect. Until next time.